Hayley Quinn, and today I have the pleasure to be joined by Jamie Alderton, who is, I hope I'm going to get this right, one of the UK's top body transformation coaches.
Yes, got it right. Well,
most of it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So luckily Jamie is here, and as you can see, Jamie is somewhat in pretty good shape, and yeah, exactly. You could iron the shirt directly.
I didn't iron this shirt actually, it was put on.
Really? Awesome. So Jamie's going to give us just a few tips on a little bit about physique and a little bit about diet, because I think this man, actually, you speak some sense in terms of nothing too extreme, and you see so many crazy plans, don't you, out there in the media that are just like radical and possibly don't work or are really hard to sustain.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to give you some talks about some easy fitness and nutrition advice that you can probably set up and do this week, and also a few tips on confidence from a guy who might know a thing or two about that from all your...
Yeah. I mean, what I say is to make a proper body transformation, you've got to think of three things: diet, training, and mindset. And if you haven't got all of those three things, you're destined to fail. But the most important thing when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to training, and it becomes, your mindset, is you've got to enjoy what you're doing. That is the most important factor.
Yeah.
Too many people look at getting a transformation, losing weight, and they think, right, I need to do loads of cardio, I need to stop eating carbohydrates, I need to do this, do that. And they're all extreme methods that, do work to a certain extent, but for how long?
Right, is it like a boom-bust cycle?
Well, it is. I mean, this is what you hear in the media so much. It's yo-yo dieting. People will be on a diet, off a diet, and it's like, why does it have to be something that you're on or you're off? Why can't it be a lifestyle choice? Because if it's something that you enjoy doing every single day and it's part of your life, you'll continue to do it. Right. So too many people are doing things that they don't enjoy doing. And this is why they're not getting that result, because although they might get a short-term result, say 6 weeks, 8 weeks, they lose a stone to 2 stone, they don't keep it off because they go back to their old habits, they go back to their old ways, and then suddenly they're back to square one.
So if diet is even maybe not a right word to use, what would you recommend for people to do instead?
Have a healthy lifestyle. Have a little bit of what you enjoy, but also the most important factor.
Yeah. I saw a picture of you on your Instagram actually with a box of pizza, a massive pizza.
Exactly.
Right.
But then people ask me, how can you have that? How can you have that? And it's like, because that is, if you think the average person has 3 to 4 meals a day, you times that by 7, I'm not a mathematician, but 21 to 24 meals a day. 1 meal out of 24, is that going to make a huge difference, provided that you're being consistent with the rest of your week? And that's where people go wrong, is that they focus too much on all or nothing mentality, and rather than focusing on being consistent with what you're doing. And I'm not talking about consistency 100% of the time. What I'm talking about is about 80% of the time being consistent. The trouble you have with people, though, is that their consistency levels are sort of 100% for 1 week, and then they're down to 40% 1 week, and then they're back up to 100, and it's just that inconsistency which is causing them not to get those results. So it's just focusing on being at about 80 to 90% of that consistency, and that little 10%, that little 20% doesn't really matter. And what I put under that 20% is, the odd Saturday night out with the ladies, night out with the lads, weddings, these things that happen in everyday life. But unfortunately, so many people get into that mindset where they're like, I can't see my friends, I can't go out drinking, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you're restricting yourself, and obviously it affects you mentally, which is, the worst thing you could do, because you start becoming less of the person that you are.
Exactly. I have to say, the time that I was probably the worst shape and least healthy of my whole life, I remember really clear. I was filming a TV show. I was going to be in Miami. I knew I was going to be in swimwear. I panicked, and basically all that I consumed for like a month or 2 months was green shakes, soups. Basically, it was an entire liquid and salad diet. And you know what? I ballooned. Like, I became a water balloon. I was horrified. I had no energy, was really unwell. Kicked off a kind of chronic fatigue syndrome that I had. And I just like, what's happened? And it messed up my metabolism. And it's only recently, through being much more well balanced over a couple of years, that it's kind of normalized now. And if I could turn back time and actually have that healthy, just normal, more relaxed lifestyle, I would do it in a heartbeat, because that sort of being super strict doesn't help.
Exactly. But this is the hardest thing about people, is they want the results now.
Right.
If I told people people that it's going to take you 6 months or 8 months, they won't listen. If I told them I can do it in 3 weeks, they'll listen because they want it now.
I mean, it's exactly the same with the people
patient.
that I work with, right? I have to be like, I know that I can help people to be really great at approaching people. You know, give me a session or two, I can do that for you. But to change your whole ability to connect with the opposite sex, that's a lifestyle change, and that means different behaviours, and behaviours and habits take time.
And it's a habit change. They say it takes 66 days to form a habit, but it's being consistent with that habit. So it's, consistently eating well, consistently being able to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, consistently getting up early. There's all these little habits that you can do to form a part of your lifestyle to get that result, and that's what's the most important factor for me. Yeah,
so is there one sort of diet thing that, or not diet, but dietary or nutritional thing that people could do or could look at, or is it very individual?
It's very individual. I mean, a lot of questions that I get asked about nutrition and training and diet, they say, oh, what's this, what's that? And I say, it depends. The biggest answer to any of that response is it depends. I could sit and tell people my routine. I could say I get up at 5 a.m, I go for a walk, I do this, I do that. But these are all habits that I've created that I enjoy doing, which gets me results. You might not be that early morning person. You might be that night owl who loves doing things at night time. I know certainly my wife, her creative moment, she's a photographer, her moment of glory is sort of 10 p.m. till 2 a.m.
I'm nodding and shaking my head because my partner's exactly the same.
And,
it's like,
and I'm fast asleep. Yeah. Fast asleep at 10. I'm up at 5 a.m.
Right.
I've been up 2 hours. I've got all my work done, and I come back and my wife's still in bed. But then she's been up since 2 a.m. doing her stuff. So you've got to find what works for you, and that's why I say it depends. I could say to people, you need to eat that for breakfast, but they might not like it. I could say you need to do that in the gym, but you might not enjoy doing that. And this is where it comes down to people realising that yes, there are some things I can prescribe to you to maximise the results, but if you're not going to keep doing it every single week, every single month, then you're not going to get as much results as doing something that may not be as effective but more consistent.
Right, so for you, consistency is
the key. It's the key to anything, really. That's what I say. Consistency to diet, consistency to training, and having that positive outlook on what you're doing.
And I know that a lot of this ties in, I know you mentioned that there's 3 points to this, and what I'm always really interested in is just mindset as well, and
definitely.
how you feel about yourself, because I think loads of people go into either wanting to improve their social skills or wanting to get the body because they have a goal in mind, and that goal might be a sexy member of the opposite,
but people
or the same gender.
People are getting this picture in their head of a finish line.
Right.
So they'll say, once I've done this diet, I will look like this, and suddenly I'll be successful. Or once I've learn all these tricks and these skills to talk to these women, I think they've got in their head they're driving in a car with all these women in the back and things like that. And I think it's important to be real with yourself and look at it exactly, knowing your why and knowing why you're doing it.
Because life is never like that, right?
Exactly.
Like, I think with everything, and I'm sure you're the same, that I've ever done with a business or any other goals, it's been just this gradual one frustrating building block at a time. There's never been like a landslide.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So when it comes to people feeling, you said the mindset and the why is really important. Obviously, loads of people that will be watching this are really interested in being more confident, or perhaps are going out there. Is there any advice that you could give from your own experience on how people can kind of just feel more at ease in themselves or in their bodies and their attractiveness to the opposite sex?
Be yourself, be real. That's the most important thing I say to people. You're not going to feel confident or comfortable doing things that you don't feel confident or comfortable doing.
Right.
And it's the same, a lot of people will look at what I do, the exercise, the diet and the training, and yes, it does build me up with confidence, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing what I do every single day, and that's what I say to people. And luckily, the effect of what I do has a positive outcome on my body composition, on my health. So, you've got to do what makes you feel confident as well. And I think the key is to try and find that.
What empowers you is good, right?
Exactly.
And what makes you feel good. And that's also a great message, because I think with loads of the advice out there, and when it comes to being confident, it's about putting on some kind of facade or having a perfect something. And I think actually people don't respond that well to perfect. I think people like people that are a bit more honest and a bit real, and that they see as a human.
And I think that's what's important. That's why you get so much controversy with the whole body image, is that people will look at something and think that other people expect them to look that way, when in actual fact no one cares. As we saw today on the experiment, people like different things.
And everyone's so focused on themselves,
Exactly.
right? That they don't. No one cares about anybody else.
Exactly. It's I went to a seminar of Peter Sage, an amazing guy. Who was on London Real, and he says that so many people are focused on worrying what others are thinking of them, when in actual fact the person that you're looking at is probably just worried about what you think of them. And so many people are caught in their own world, caring about what they think of others rather than what you think of them. So just concentrate on your own stuff.
Yeah. So what do you think is like a great why to get into like a fitness training program like the ones that you
for it to have a positive impact on your life? The effects of exercise to diet is you have more control. You can set goals, and that's what's the most important thing that I found with me, is that when I started getting into competing, I would sit down, I knew what I'd have to do with my diet, I knew what I'd have to do with my training, I'd have that date in mind, and I'd set myself a goal. Now, when you're a very goal-orientated person, you can apply that logic not just in fitness, but in business and what you do in life. So when you apply those principles and say business, you want to achieve a certain target, you sit down, you write your goals, you write what you need to do, then you focus on achieving, the set goals, then you get that success. So it's just getting into that mindset of actually writing down your goals, forming those habits, forming those routines, and then achieving the outcome that you do. And so many people don't do that. They just waltz through life expecting things to
materialise around them
and sit down and
it does
be
never
given
happens,
it on a plate.
does it?
And this is what I say to people all the time, is if you want to achieve something in life, you've got to go out there, you've got to push yourself, and you've got to have a plan, and you've got to make those goals happen, because you're the only person that's going to make it. And if you're concerned what others are thinking about what you're doing, then you're gonna lose, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, so you've got to focus on yourself. It sounds like you have a really 360-degree approach to looking at people's lifestyle and transformation.
Yeah, and I think it's important because everyone wants everyone to sing off the same song sheet, and it's like, well, not everyone sings off the same song sheet. And
everyone's different, right?
Yeah, and you've got to understand, when I have people on social media say, oh, I don't like what you're doing, this, that and the other, rather than get angry with them, it's more about understanding why they think that and realising that it's okay for them to form an opinion on that, because their experiences in life's very, very different to mine. Their perception on what I do, they might have had a bad experience with what I do, which has affected their opinion on it. So it's understanding that we're all different at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I'm exactly the same. I think that while it's really tempting to brand your website or brand something and saying, this is the cure-all, this is the one move you can do that's going to fix everything, it's kind of unethical and completely
incorrect. It is, because
right?
it may work for a small majority of people. You might get your little niche market of people that will believe in that, but then
you're doing a disservice to everybody else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're carrying on a lie. And this is the same, I feel passionate about this because it's definitely the same in dating as well, that everybody is different, and you can't, there might be some kind of rules of thumb, but they're not even rules of thumb, they're like guidelines, and that everybody is going to have a different experience, right?
And your business and my business are very alike in the fact that the people that are coming to us need help, and they're in a vulnerable state where they want to make a change.
Right.
And to lie to someone like that, to give them false hope and false knowledge is unethical. So it's saying to people and being honest with them, if I can't help them, then I'll tell them. If I can help them, I will. And I think people like that about me, is that I'll quite happily turn around to someone and say, I'm not your guy. I'm not someone, that's going to be able to help you. I can recommend you to someone who will, but I think that's so much better trait to have, rather than go, okay, I'll take your money and I won't give you the result. Because for me, I'm a results-based person. So if I'm not getting the result that people are paying money for, I'm not happy. And obviously, certainly the client isn't happy either.
So we're thinking ethical, we're thinking 360 degrees, we're thinking getting your why and your headspace in the right place just as much as your external body, and the two things being really linked.
Exactly, yeah.
I think your stuff is really awesome.
Thank you.
I would love it if you guys, if you're interested in improving you know, not just your fitness and your physical appearance, but also your internal sense of wellness, your energy levels, your focus. You know, I think your stuff is great. So can you chat people up and tell them where they can find out more about you?
So yeah, I've got absolutely loads of social media avenues.
You're a king, aren't you, on
Well,
several? So
yeah,
let's
it's
see if
quite,
there's
it's
no need
quite
to be
busy.
humble.
So you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and Twitter, and it's all at Grenade J or / Grenade J. Or you can just, as everyone says, you just need to Google me, Jamie Alderton. Google him. That's the easiest way to find people these days. So.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, I hope that you find some inspiration. I know that from my own little journey, as well as from what I've heard today, that absolutely it's the consistency, it's creating a lifestyle, it's doing stuff with the right motivations, it's not expecting a miracle overnight, but just, you know, gradually getting there and feeling better in yourself. So I hope you can check out more of Grenade J's, I'm going to use your professional name, stuff, and focus on, you know, especially go to the Instagram. I would say that's a particular...
Yeah, I mean, it's more my comedy channel, Instagram. It's a bit more light-hearted because the thing is about fitness and training and everything like that. People do take it very, very serious. And, you know, one thing I do say is, yes, it is serious, but you can have a little bit of fun as well.
I like that, a little bit of fun. All right, see you soon, guys. Take care.